Clara had always been a determined realtor. In her small town, she was known for turning old, neglected properties into something people would dream of owning. Yet, there was one house she had never dared approach, the Whitmore house. It sat at the far edge of town, behind a line of thick, untamed trees. Its paint had long faded to a dull gray, and the shutters hung crooked, rattling in the wind. No one had lived there for years. Rumors swirled that it was cursed, that strange sounds could be heard at night, or that anyone who tried to renovate it would give up in frustration. Locals avoided it, and its "for sale" sign had been there longer than most of the town's residents had been alive. One chilly morning, Clara drove past the property for the third time that week. She parked her car on the uneven gravel road and stepped out, the cold biting at her cheeks. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Why not?" she whispered to herself. "Maybe this is the challenge I've been waiting for." Clara had always believed that every house had a story. Some were happy, filled with laughter and memories. Others had secrets hidden behind their walls. She had a feeling the Whitmore house held secrets. She pushed open the creaking gate and stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the front door. The garden was wild, with weeds taller than her knees, and the stone pathway was cracked and covered in moss. Yet, she could already imagine how it could look with a little care: a burst of flowers, trimmed hedges, a clean path leading to the front steps. Inside, the house smelled of dust and old wood. Sunlight barely reached the corners, and the air was thick with the scent of abandonment. Clara moved cautiously, her heels clicking softly against the wooden floors. She ran her hand along the walls, noting the faded wallpaper and cracks. "This place needs work," she murmured, a mix of apprehension and excitement in her voice. She imagined renovating the rooms, opening the windows to let sunlight flood in, painting the walls in bright colors, and restoring the forgotten beauty. She could almost hear the house's potential, whispering to her in the silence. As she explored, she found old furniture covered in white sheets. A broken rocking chair sat by a dusty fireplace, and books lay scattered across the floor. In the corner of the living room, she noticed a small, locked door she hadn't seen before. It was tucked behind an old wardrobe, almost hidden. Curiosity sparked in her chest. She knelt down and tried the handle. It wouldn't budge. The metal was cold and rusty. Clara frowned. What could be back there? She wondered aloud. There was something about that little door that felt different, important, even. 4 days after, Clara couldn't stop thinking about the house. She signed the papers and officially purchased it. Her colleagues were baffled. "That place is a nightmare," they said. "Why would you waste your time and money?" But Clara only smiled. She knew that every house had its story waiting to be discovered. The first night in her new purchase was quiet, almost too quiet. The wind rustled through the trees, and an owl hooted in the distance. Clara set up a small living area in the corner of the largest room, bringing in just a bed, a lamp, and some essentials. As she unpacked, her eyes kept drifting to the small locked door. Sleep didn't come easily. Clara felt a strange pull toward that hidden corner. Finally, she decided she couldn't wait any longer. She retrieved an old toolbox she had brought for renovations and returned to the door. Hours passed as she worked to loosen the rusty lock. Sparks flew as the metal groaned under her efforts. Just when her hands were sore and her patience thinning, the lock finally clicked open. Clara's heart raced. She took a deep breath and slowly pushed the door. Inside was a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. The air was cool and smelled faintly of earth. Clara hesitated for a moment, the beam of her flashlight cutting through the shadows. Step by step, she descended. At the bottom, she found a small, hidden room. Its walls were lined with shelves filled with old journals, photographs, and boxes. The room looked untouched for decades, preserved as if someone had wanted to hide it away from the world. Clara's hands trembled as she reached for a journal. The first page she opened revealed handwriting she didn't recognize, filled with detailed accounts of the house's past. The Whitmore family had lived here generations ago. But the entries weren't just about daily life. They spoke of mysterious visitors, strange events, and secrets that no one in town had ever known. Clara realized she had stumbled onto something remarkable. This wasn't just an old house waiting for renovation, it was a treasure trove of history, a hidden story that could shake the quiet town she knew so well. As she sat among the dusty shelves, reading the old journals by the dim light of her flashlight, she felt a thrill she hadn't experienced in years. She had expected challenges in her new purchase, but she hadn't expected a mystery waiting just behind a small, forgotten door. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the windows. But inside, Clara felt a strange sense of calm. The house, for all its decay and neglect, had welcomed her into its secret world. And she knew that the days ahead would reveal even more than she could imagine. Little did Clara know, the Whitmore house had been waiting for someone like her. Someone who could uncover its secrets and bring its hidden stories into the light. And what she discovered next would shock not only her but everyone in town. The morning sunlight filtered through the grimy windows of the Whitmore house, casting thin, golden lines across the dusty floors. Clara awoke with a sense of purpose. The hidden room she had discovered the night before played on her mind endlessly. She knew there was more to uncover. After a quick breakfast, she returned to the hidden room. The journals on the shelves were filled with fragmented stories, sketches of rooms, maps, and handwritten notes that suggested a life more mysterious than anyone in the town could imagine. Clara carefully examined each one, noting the dates and the unusual events described. Missing items, visitors who appeared and disappeared overnight, and whispered conversations with no clear explanation. Among the shelves, one large wooden box caught her attention. It was heavier than it looked, its lock rusted but intact. Using her tools, she managed to pry it open. Inside were dozens of old photographs, all depicting the Whitmore family through the decades, but something was odd. In many of the pictures, faint shadows appeared behind the family members, shapes that didn't belong, yet seemed deliberate. Clara shivered but couldn't look away. One photograph, in particular, drew her in. It showed a young woman standing in front of the house with a small, ornate key in her hand. The woman's expression was anxious, almost pleading. On the back of the photo, written in neat handwriting, were the words, "The house keeps its secrets well. Only the brave will know the truth." Clara's curiosity became an obsession. She returned to the house's main rooms, searching for any clue that could connect the journals and the photographs to the architecture itself. In the library, she noticed faint scratches along the floorboards near the fireplace. Kneeling, she realized the scratches formed letters. Using a flashlight, she could make out the words, "Below the heart of the home." The phrase made her pulse quicken. Could it be a clue to another hidden space? Clara inspected the floors meticulously, moving rugs and tapping on the wood to listen for hollow sounds. Hours passed, but finally, she found it, a slightly raised floorboard in the center of the living room. With effort, she pried it open, revealing a narrow, square opening leading down into darkness. Her hands trembled as she set up a small rope ladder and descended carefully. The air was colder here, and the scent of damp earth and aged wood filled her lungs. At the bottom, she found a stone-lined cellar, surprisingly well preserved. Shelves lined the walls, filled with old tools, jars of strange powders, and more journals. But the center of the room held something truly astonishing, a large chest made of dark oak, its edges carved with symbols that seemed both ancient and foreign. Clara approached the chest with caution. She ran her fingers over the carvings, feeling a strange energy emanating from them. The chest was locked, but the key in the photograph from earlier seemed to call to her. Reaching into her pocket, she found she had, by chance, taken the small key from the hidden room upstairs. It was the exact size to fit the lock. Her hands shook as she turned the key. The lock clicked, and the lid creaked open. Inside, she found a collection of letters, documents, and objects that had been hidden for decades. They revealed the Whitmore family's long history as keepers of knowledge, protecting secrets that many believed were lost to time. Maps of underground tunnels beneath the town, journals describing strange phenomena, and artifacts from distant lands filled the chest. One letter, in particular, was addressed to the one who finds this. It explained that the house had been a sanctuary for those seeking knowledge and truth. The previous generations had hidden their most important discoveries here, ensuring they would only be revealed to someone brave and curious enough to uncover them. Clara felt a mix of awe and fear. She realized the house was far more than an abandoned property. It was a gateway to hidden history. She spent hours reading the letters, noting instructions and hints left for future generations. Some suggested that the tunnels beneath the town led to forgotten chambers and rooms filled with artifacts, waiting to be explored. As she studied the documents, she became aware of another presence, a subtle sensation, as if someone was watching her. The cellar felt alive, almost as if it recognized her determination. Clara shivered but pressed on, refusing to let fear stop her. She knew she had to understand the full scope of what she had uncovered. Back upstairs, she began mapping the house, comparing the journals with the architecture. Hidden doors, false walls, and unusual patterns in the woodwork hinted at additional secrets. Clara realized that the Whitmore house had been designed with care to hide its treasures from anyone who wasn't meant to find them. Every discovery she made led to another question, another mystery waiting to be solved. Days turned into nights as she pored over the materials. Word began to spread quietly in town that Clara had taken an interest in the old house. Some neighbors watched from a distance, curious but cautious. The stories about the Whitmore house's strangeness seemed to intensify, though Clara remained focused on her mission. One evening, while examining a journal detailing the house's construction, she found references to a hidden room in the attic. It was described as the room that sees all, the room that holds the final truth. Clara's heart raced. She had already discovered so much, but the idea of a room holding the final truth made her both excited and nervous. The next day, she carried her flashlight and tools up the narrow staircase to the attic. Cobwebs clung to the rafters, and dust swirled in the light. She noticed an unusual section of wall, slightly recessed, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. With a push, a small panel slid open, revealing a hidden space. Inside was a collection of items that left her speechless. Old manuscripts, artifacts, and a mirror framed in intricately carved wood. The mirror reflected more than her own image. It seemed to shimmer with a faint, golden light. Clara leaned closer, noticing that the manuscripts mentioned reflections and visions. According to the texts, the mirror could reveal glimpses of the past, showing moments that had been lost to time. Clara felt a chill run down her spine. She had uncovered secrets beyond her imagination, and yet, the house still had more to reveal. Every corner held a story, every artifact a connection to the family who had lived here long before her. She realized that the Whitmore house had chosen her, guiding her to uncover its mysteries, piece by piece. As the sun set behind the trees outside, Clara sat in the attic, the golden light of the mirror dancing across the walls. She knew that her life had changed forever. The house was no longer just a property to renovate, it was a puzzle, a challenge, and a treasure trove of history. And she was the only one who could bring its secrets into the light. Little did she know, the discoveries she had made were only the beginning. The hidden truths of the Whitmore house would soon ripple beyond its walls, shocking everyone who thought they knew the quiet town. Clara's journey into the heart of the house had awakened something ancient, and what she found next would surpass even her wildest expectations. The Whitmore house had become Clara's world. Each morning she arrived with renewed determination, and each night she returned home exhausted but exhilarated. The hidden rooms, secret staircases, and buried artifacts had completely captured her imagination. She now understood why the house had been left untouched for decades. It was not just a building, but a guardian of secrets, waiting for someone patient, brave, and curious enough to uncover them. One rainy afternoon, Clara was examining the manuscripts she had found in the attic. They described a series of tunnels beneath the town that connected not only the Whitmore house but several older buildings whose history had long been forgotten. According to the writings, these tunnels had been used to hide valuables, preserve knowledge, and even protect people during dangerous times. Clara's heart raced as she realized the town she thought she knew so well was built over a network of hidden passages and chambers. Determined to explore further, she followed the clues in the journals. Using a worn map she discovered in the attic, she traced a route leading from a trapdoor in the cellar, winding beneath the house, and extending out toward the edge of town. Armed with a flashlight, her notebook, and a sense of adventure, She carefully descended into the tunnels. The air was damp, carrying the scent of earth and history, and her footsteps echoed softly against the stone walls. As she moved deeper, she noticed markings on the walls, symbols similar to those on the chest in the cellar. The markings seemed to guide her, pointing the way forward. She followed them cautiously, stepping over old crates and discarded objects that had been stored here long ago. The further she went, the more she understood that the Whitmore family had meticulously preserved the tunnels, ensuring that only someone attentive enough could navigate them successfully. After what felt like hours, Clara reached a large stone door embedded in the wall. It was unlike anything she had seen so far, sturdy, covered in carvings, and with a lock that appeared older than the town itself. She remembered the key from the photograph in the hidden room and, with a sense of anticipation, tried it in the lock. The metal groaned but turned, and the door slowly creaked open, revealing a chamber that took her breath away. Inside, the room was filled with artifacts, manuscripts, and paintings dating back centuries. It seemed as if time had stopped here. Candles had long since burned down to stubs, and dust covered every surface. Clara's eyes were drawn to a large table in the center, strewn with maps and letters detailing events that had been erased from public history. Among the documents, she found proof of hidden alliances, secret trades, and knowledge that had been kept from the world for generations. But the most astonishing discovery was yet to come. At the far end of the room stood a pedestal holding an object wrapped in velvet. Clara approached carefully and removed the cloth. Beneath it lay a crystal orb, glowing faintly with an inner light. According to the manuscripts, the orb was a record of truth, a repository of knowledge that could reveal the past, uncover secrets, and even guide the future. Clara's hands trembled as she touched it. The surface was cool, almost alive, and images began to form within the orb. She saw moments from the town's past, events that had been long forgotten or deliberately hidden. She witnessed the Whitmore family's struggles, their victories, and the lengths they had gone to protect knowledge and keep the town safe. She saw the construction of the tunnels, the hidden chambers, and the careful preservation of artifacts. It was all here, captured in the orb's glow. As Clara watched, a realization struck her. The Whitmore house was not just a home, it was a guardian of history, a repository of knowledge that could change the way the town and its people understood their past. And she was now the keeper of that legacy. Suddenly, she heard footsteps echoing in the tunnels behind her. Clara spun around, flashlight in hand. To her surprise, a small group of townspeople had followed her into the tunnels, drawn by curiosity and the rumors surrounding her work. Their expressions were a mix of fear, awe, and disbelief. "What is this place?" one of them whispered, stepping cautiously into the chamber. Clara took a deep breath and began to explain. She showed them the manuscripts, the maps, and the crystal orb. As she spoke, the townspeople realized that the Whitmore house had been hiding secrets that could rewrite their understanding of the town's history. Some were skeptical at first, unwilling to believe such stories. Others were captivated, realizing that Clara had uncovered something extraordinary. The chamber was a bridge between the past and present, a hidden history waiting to be acknowledged. The news of Clara's discovery spread quickly. Scholars, historians, and journalists soon arrived, eager to examine the artifacts and understand the significance of the Whitmore house. What had been an abandoned, unwanted property became a place of fascination and wonder. The town, once quiet and unassuming, now held a secret that captured the imagination of everyone who heard about it. Clara's life changed as well. She was no longer just a realtor. She was now a guardian of history, a curator of secrets, and the person who had brought the hidden truths of the Whitmore house into the light. She continued to explore the tunnels, cataloging the artifacts and manuscripts, ensuring that the knowledge would be preserved for future generations. Yet, even with all the discoveries, she knew there was more to learn. The manuscripts hinted at events and objects still hidden, waiting to be found by someone patient and curious enough to continue the Whitmore legacy. Clara felt a sense of responsibility and excitement. She had been chosen by the house, and she was determined to honor that trust. As she stood in the chamber, surrounded by the echoes of history and the soft glow of the crystal orb, Clara realized the truth. The Whitmore house had been waiting for her. It had recognized her determination, her curiosity, and her courage. And in return, it had revealed secrets that would forever change her life and the lives of everyone in the town. The revelation was complete, yet it was only the beginning. The Whitmore house, once unwanted and mysterious, had become a beacon of knowledge and wonder. Clara smiled, knowing that she had uncovered something extraordinary, something that would be remembered for generations. And as she turned back to the orb, she felt a sense of awe and gratitude. The house had chosen wisely, and she was ready to continue its story. Weeks passed, and the town of Willowbrook slowly began to awaken to the truth behind the Whitmore house. Scholars arrived from nearby cities, eager to study the manuscripts and artifacts Clara had uncovered. Reporters documented every detail, fascinated by the story of a realtor who had stumbled upon a treasure trove of history hidden in plain sight. The once feared, unwanted house had transformed into a symbol of wonder and discovery. Clara spent her days cataloging artifacts and helping historians piece together the Whitmore family's story. She discovered journals detailing acts of kindness, courage, and ingenuity, how the family had preserved the town's secrets, guided travelers, and protected knowledge from being lost forever. Some of the tunnels beneath Willowbrook led to forgotten rooms filled with ancient tools and historical records, revealing connections to generations of families and events that no one had known existed. But the most extraordinary discovery came when Clara revisited the crystal orb in the hidden chamber. As she gazed into its shimmering surface, the images began to shift. Unlike before, the orb now displayed scenes from the present, moments unfolding as if the house itself was alive and aware. Clara saw townspeople working together, inspired by the Whitmore legacy. Children exploring the tunnels under careful supervision, historians studying manuscripts with fascination, and neighbors sharing stories of old events that had been forgotten. The orb reflected the living impact of the house, showing how knowledge could inspire community and connection. One evening, as Clara reviewed some letters in the attic, she noticed a sealed envelope she hadn't seen before. It was addressed simply, "To the keeper of the house." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter from the last living Whitmore descendant, written decades ago. "If you are reading this, you have proven yourself worthy. The house has revealed its secrets to you because you possess the curiosity, courage, and care to honor them. Use this knowledge wisely, for it is not just history, it is a responsibility. Protect it, share it, and continue our family's work. The house has chosen you, and through you, its legacy will live on." Clara felt a swell of emotion. She realized that her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. She had not only uncovered hidden history but had been entrusted with carrying it forward. The Whitmore house had chosen her as its guardian, and she understood the magnitude of that responsibility. Word spread that Clara would host guided tours of the Whitmore house and the tunnels, allowing the townspeople and visitors to experience the history firsthand. She also began curating exhibits of the manuscripts and artifacts, working closely with historians to ensure that the knowledge was preserved and appreciated. People came from all over to see the house, to walk the same floors that had been untouched for decades, and to witness the mysteries that Clara had brought into the light. The town, once quiet and ordinary, had become a place of fascination and learning. The Whitmore house had transformed from an unwanted property into a living testament to courage, curiosity, and preservation. And Clara, the determined realtor who had taken a chance on the house, had become the town's guide and historian, the bridge between past and present. One crisp morning, Clara stood on the front porch of the Whitmore house, watching the sunlight glint off the restored windows. Children ran along the newly cleared paths, and townspeople explored the gardens she had begun to revive. She smiled, thinking of how far the house had come, and how far she herself had come alongside it. The small, locked doors, hidden rooms, and secret chambers had revealed stories of human ingenuity, resilience, and courage. They had shown that even the most ordinary places could hold extraordinary secrets. Clara knew the house had more to reveal, and she was ready for whatever mysteries lay ahead. In that moment, she realized the truth. The Whitmore house had not only changed the town, it had changed her. She had discovered the thrill of uncovering the unknown, the joy of connecting with history, and the importance of protecting knowledge. And in doing so, she had given the town of Willowbrook something far more valuable than any property ever could: a sense of identity, a link to its past, and a story that would be told for generations. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the Whitmore house, Clara placed her hand on the front door. She whispered a quiet thank you to the house, knowing it had chosen her for a reason. And deep inside, in the hidden chambers, the artifacts, journals, and crystal orbs seemed to shimmer with approval, as if acknowledging that their legacy was safe in her hands. Clara turned back to the garden she had begun to restore, the path now clear and welcoming. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that the Whitmore house, once unwanted and mysterious, had finally found its place in the world, and she had found her purpose within it. The story of the Whitmore house was no longer hidden. Its secrets, preserved and revealed, had become a source of inspiration, connecting the past to the present and lighting the way for the future. And Clara, the realtor who had dared to enter the house, would forever be remembered as the one who unlocked its mysteries and shared its wonders with the world.